Yes, as I said, with extraordinary foresight, we predicted what would happen tonight. So we got in somebody who's a goalkeeper and somebody who's played in goal. I mean, Matt, let's start with you. You could not have predicted that, could you? To lose both keepers on the same night.
Oh, absolutely crazy. And I remember an incident ages ago when two keepers got injured in Cech and Kudicini, and that happened. But for Ederson to go off at half-time, and then for the sending off of Bravo so late on as well, because if he'd have just come into the game, but he's had half time to warm up, and then he's come on, and to predict that, and then to see Kyle Walker in goal was it was so funny how he did it.
Why were you were in fits of laughter? Why were you laughing at him?
Because the pick-up at first, I wanted him to have a proper dive, because I think if they have a proper dive, they end up on their stomach and that. But the one that bounced off and then he picked it up all calm. But the way he caught the ball then so late, dropped to the ground. But end of the day, he kept a clean sheet. As Tom will tell you, it's easy, isn't it, going in goal?
Yeah, I've only had 3 or 4 minutes.
Come on, when was it? When did this happen to you?
When I was at Hull, Alan McGregor got sent off in the last 5 minutes or so, away at Palace. But we were losing the game, so it was a case of just pumping it in the box. And yeah, I decided to go in goal, probably because I can kick it the furthest and just go back to front and try and nick a draw.
No saves to make?
No saves to make, thankfully. But
what's it like when you slip the gloves on and you're walking out there?
Obviously, it's a bit nervy because you're not used to it. But because it was only the last few minutes, it was a case of just trying to get it as far forward as possible. And as I say, thankfully, I didn't have any saves to make.
But do you agree that he did pretty well, Kyle Walker?
Yeah, I thought Bravo did well in wasting 7 minutes of time to go to the pitch as well. But yeah, Kyle did well. As Matt was saying, as outfield players, if you make a dive, it looks awkward. But thankfully, Walks managed to keep a clean sheet.
Well, the free kick he had to face, he's horrible. Even when you're a goalkeeper who's played there, when you've got line your wall up and you come in, he's not had any handling or anything. He's come in, and I remember ages ago Harry Kane went in goal and he let one in. So fair play, shot on target. He's picked it up and they kept the clean sheet, but. What they will be thinking is that injury to Ederson for the weekend.
Well,
massive.
He was taken off at half-time. It was precautionary. We don't know the nature of it. But that in itself, does that not sow a seed of doubt?
Well, De Gea went off, didn't he, before the Manchester-Liverpool game? And everyone thought, how's he going to be? Especially the way he went down. He was OK for it. But Ederson is that important, and you can see, as much as you've got to take it game by game, there's no way that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola have not been thinking about that game at the weekend. So I think, as you say, it's precautionary. They've got it early. If he'd have stayed on, then he's so key, not only with his shot stopping, but how they play. And we were talking about it, Tom, he's probably one of our favourite goalkeepers in the Premier League.
Yeah, for sure. He's key to the way Man City play. Obviously, Liverpool will attack a lot. He'll have probably a lot of the ball at his feet, and all of Man City's attacks are started with him, with the ball at his feet. Even though Bravo will be available for the weekend's match, which will be important to have the option, but they'll be doing their utmost to make sure Ederson's out there.
Do you think Ederson is more key or more important to City than Alisson is to Liverpool, given the way that they play?
It's a tough one, but I think the way that Adrian stepped in when Alisson was injured, I think for me that gives Ederson the nod in the most important stakes out of the two for their team. Claudio Bravo is a great goalkeeper in his own right, but I think the way that Man City want to play and the way that Pep has his team playing, I think Ederson's massive.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, because I think that the way that Adrian came in, I didn't expect him, especially with not having as much training. He came straight in, but Liverpool have coped with it. But we saw when Bravo took over from Joe Hart, didn't quite make the big saves. So Ederson, yes, unbelievable with his feet, but he makes big saves and made an uncharacteristic mistake against Southampton, wasn't it, the weekend when it came off him. But all in all, he is top draw. But Alisson as well, he's an out-and-out number one. That's why they got the price tags. That's what they do. And you imagine in a game like that, your keeper is going to have a moment where he pulls off a big save.
Even though you both disagreed with the sending off, I think I'm right in saying, didn't you? Didn't think it was,
I thought the players kicked the goal there.
So even... And if Manchester City are convinced that it was a dive as well, he initiated the contact, as Tom says, will that unsettle Bravo if he has to play at the weekend, or is it irrelevant?
I think he's that experienced. He's played at the top level. They have to put it behind him. It's not a nice moment. I think, he's been sent off twice in the last 4 Champions League games he's played, so that's big. But he has to put that behind him, his experience. But if Ederson is not on that team sheet, it has to be a boost to Liverpool. It has to be, and you'll be testing it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it will put a doubt. As much experience as he has got, if you've got Salah and Mane making them runs from the channel and there's a through ball and he's 50-50 about coming for it, there is going to be that bit of doubt creep into his mind if he does play at the weekend. So I think he'll probably retreat and try and make a save instead of trying to intercept the ball like tonight.
And the way both teams play with such a high press, you know what it's like when you're pressing and you want to play with a high line. Your keeper's key to it, isn't it?
Yeah,
it has to be there, has to sweep up, and that decision making. And when you've played in goal, the hardest bit, you can do all your handling, do all your stuff, but the decision making, which you can't recreate in training, you can't recreate a massive atmosphere, making those decisions, and that's probably a little bit why Bravo did get caught out. So, yeah, it'll be really, really interesting to see when that team sheet goes in at the weekend.
What did you make of City's performance, the result? And it was, they were predicted as a fairly straightforward win. He made changes, but again, going into the weekend, is that less than ideal preparation?
It's less than ideal, but you can see probably with the team selection, not that he's bringing in bad players by any stretch of the imagination, but he's leaving out players that he sees key in certain positions, probably with the weekend in mind, and the result puts them on 10 points, which is usually enough after 6 games, so if they can nick 1 more point, that guarantees their qualification to the knockout stages.
Well, you look at the table there. They're in a very, very comfortable position. It's more about the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And look, you all want to keep winning. You always want to keep winning. And Liverpool got a fantastic result last night. But at the end of the day, the more concerning thing will be, the injury maybe to Ederson. So that hopefully is not too serious. Everything else, you can see why he rested the likes of Aguero. That is, people like that, they need to be on it. They need to be going into it. So of course he wants to win. He's gone down to 10 men. Still a difficult place, but they've won the home game before. They're in a strong position in the group. So in a way, it was probably an ideal game for them going into the weekend because he was able to rest the players. So there's a few players that have come in, got minutes. They haven't lost. Still got a point on the board. And that's what you do. You win your home games, take your point away from home. They'll get out of the group. But they have to win on Sunday because if they don't, then it's big, big moments.
Let's turn our attention to Spurs. A terrific win for